Hey, America. It's me, Evan Grant, your Rangers insider here at the Dallas Morning News and dallasnews.com. It is time for another week of This Week in Rangers Baseball, y'all. And what a week it's been. We still will examine the fallout from changing managers and GM in a 2-day window. But really, the Rangers have kind of gotten back to playing some baseball. And the last 40 games of the season, there's plenty to accomplish. Before we get to all that, let's take care of the business. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the little YouTube channel. See, this is, you go on there, international hand signal for click on subscribe. Also, there's a little thumbs up or thumbs down button. We like the thumbs up button. So do that, leave a comment. Maybe I'll give you a response. It would all be lovely, because we here at Inside the Rangers, otherwise known as This Week in Rangers Baseball, y'all, because I can't ever make up my mind, man. I'm just like, I don't know what my deal is. I'm an old man. I forget things. I don't know why they let me have access to a camera. It's really scary. Anyway, This Week in Rangers Baseball, y'all, let's get to it. Really don't have a whole lot to add to the John Daniels and Chris Young firings over the last week. I think there's still as many questions as there are answers over the timing, in particular for the Daniels firing. I kind of went over this last week. Wouldn't have surprised me for John Daniels to step back at the end of this year. Would not have surprised me if he decided he needed to step out of the organization at the end of this year, as much for the health of the organization as for anything else. So the timing of the firing last week continues to just kind of linger as to why then and why there. And I still keep coming back to this question that I'm trying to answer. Was Ray Davis trying to send a message to the fans? Was he trying to send a message to his front office? Or was he trying to send a message to both? One, to encourage the fans. Two, to make the front office nervous, and three, to accomplish both. So I think that's still a little bit to be determined. Certainly, anytime you fire somebody at the top of the organization who has hired basically everybody in that organization, there's going to be some anxiety, and that I think that exists inside the Rangers organization right now. I think that's a big part of Chris Young's role as GM and the head of baseball operations. He has got to bring a sense of order to the organization going forward. He's also got to address some baseball things. And yes, we are getting back to baseball. And you know what? The Rangers didn't play bad baseball last week, to be honest with you. They were Tony Beasley's first 9 games as manager. They're 5-4. They've won a couple of one-run games. They've lost a couple of one-run games. So it's the story of the season. But they're winning a few more than they're losing lately, and that's a significant step forward. But here are 5 things to address before this season gets over, and then there will be a quiz at the end of this, because it's time for you guys to answer some questions. But number 1, get Josh Young up here. 200 plus at bats over the last 2 years at AAA, and the guy's got an 1121 OPS going into Wednesday night in 46 career games there. I think the Rangers would like to get him a few more games at AAA, but you're going to be able to preserve his rookie status for 2023, get him some experience, and start to take a look at what the field might look like if you put him at third base. And if you potentially look at Ezekiel Duran some in left, or Bubba Thompson in left, and maybe move Ezekiel Duran around the field a little bit. Either way, it is time for the Josh Young experiment. And listen, I'm lobbying hard here for the Rangers to bring Young up for this Friday's game against Detroit. I know it is the first week of high school football, but there's excitement about Josh Young, and there should be. He is the best hitting prospect the Rangers have had in probably 2 decades, might sell a few tickets. And listen, it does not get lost on me that The Rangers drew 13,141 last Monday at home against Oakland, the smallest crowd they've had at Globe Life Field since fans were allowed in. And then 2 days later, the general manager, or the president of baseball operations, I should say, was fired. So I think they would like to get a little bit of ticket momentum, and I think if you can get Young into this weekend series against Detroit, you might sell a few tickets. It's not going to be sellout by any stretch of the imagination for those 3 games, but you might sell a couple thousand extra tickets for people who are curious about Josh Young. I think he's ready to play in the big leagues, and I think the Rangers need to find that out. Number 2, Nathaniel Lowe. Since May 17th, Nathaniel Lowe is 6th in the American League in OPS. Now up over 900 in that time, since he's made a couple of adjustments, mostly related to just kind of shortening his stride against right-handed pitchers. Listen, the group he is in that top 6, Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Abreu, Rafael Devers, and Shohei Ohtani. All 5 of those guys, I would assume, will show up on MVP ballots in various stages and places on the ballot. And Lowe at 902 is right on the tails of Ohtani since then. He's moved himself to 16th in the AL in OPS for the year with this really strong last 4 months. So what I'm taking away is that Nate Lowe is offensively making a real case for himself, that yes, he has established himself. Still got a long way to go defensively. Minus 7 in runs scored at first base is no way to go through life. Certainly not as a long-term first baseman. But offensively, he's been the best player the Rangers have had all year. Quite frankly, yes. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien included, he has been the best player and the most consistent player for the longest period of time. So I think what the Rangers need to do is figure out, do they go forward with Nate Lowe as a first baseman? Do they go forward with Nate Lowe potentially being a more regular DH? But the at-bat quality is super. The production is super. There should be a place for Nate Lowe on this team going forward. And if he can spend the winter figuring out a way to get a little bit more comfortable and adapted to first base, certainly that's going to up his overall value. All right, number 3, because we're doing this fast today, man. Fast stuff. Adolis Garcia extended his hitting streak to 20 games on Tuesday in Colorado. Also stole his 20th base on Tuesday in Colorado. And on Monday, he hit his 20th home run. 20 homers, 20 steals, 20-game hitting streak in the same year. 2 Rangers have done it. Nathaniel Lowe in 2022, and Devon Rodriguez the year he won MVP by hitting .332 and playing catcher in 1999. Nathaniel Lowe is not going to go into, Adolis Garcia, not Nathaniel Lowe. See, this is a problem with notes. I write down notes and then I read the wrong note. Because once again, old, getting older, feeble mind. But Adolis Garcia, 20-game hitting streak, 20 homers, 20 steals, second player in Rangers history to do it behind Pudge Rodriguez when he won the MVP in 1999. This is significant for a couple of reasons. Listen, Adolis really plummeted in the second half last year, and he has been stronger in the second half this year than he was in the first half. That's a telltale sign of a player making adjustments and applying them and learning from what wore him down a year ago. These 2 games in Colorado that the Rangers played Tuesday and will play on Wednesday afternoon are significant. Tony Beasley really thought that Adolis got worn down in Colorado last year during 3 games, all of which he played in center field, ran all over the field, never really recovered. Neither have I from a lack of sleep. But no, he never really recovered. and the plummet in the second half was significant. To see him be strong since the All-Star break, he's now hitting over 300 since the All-Star break, and put together this hitting streak. If he can finish off strong, he just reaffirms that he is a piece in what looks like it's going to be a super athletic outfield next year, whether that is Garcia, Leody Taveras, and Bubba Thompson, or Garcia, Leody Taveras, and Ezekiel Duran, or throw open the possibility that the Rangers go for a free agent like a Michael Conforto to put out there somewhere. It's going to be a good outfield. And that's something the Rangers have not had in quite some time. I think the biggest thing from Adolis has done is he's learned. He's just learned. He went through last year basically with no real baseline for what impact a major league season has. Took a lot out of it, and that was a stifled yawn because I'm boring myself. Took a lot out of it, and he's applied it this year. I think the next thing that you wonder about, and listen, I've heard this on Twitter nonstop. Why is Cole Calhoun on the team? Because I don't understand. Everybody's got to have a hobby. Take up pickleball. Line up projecting. I don't know what exercise you get out of that. I don't. But Cole's here right now. It's entirely possible when Josh Young gets activated and Ezekiel Duran may start playing some outfield that there isn't any more room for Cole Calhoun. But right now, as Tony Beasley tries to get something initiated inside the clubhouse, and I think he's done a pretty good job. I think it's easier to say that a team is playing relaxed and with energy when they have a winning record for a stretch, as they do under Beasley. They're 5-4. But they do look a little bit more energetic. And Beasley met with three players when he got the job, Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, and those were obvious. Those were the two big money guys, the two guys with the longest term contracts. But he also met with Cole Calhoun one-on-one, basically to discuss his ability to help run this clubhouse and bring this clubhouse back together and galvanize it. So what the Rangers have to decide now is it more important to have Cole Calhoun here, even though, listen, he really has not performed. He's since coming back from the IL, he's just 1 for 10, and he's slashing 162, 228, 270, 498 since June 1. So it's a bad set of numbers. And if it's taking away playing time from guys like Bubba Thompson or Ezekiel Duran, you would say that that's valuable. But on the other hand, as much as anything, the Rangers need to fix cohesion in this team. And the question they're balancing right now might be, are at-bats for these young kids more significant to what the Rangers need to address right now? Or is having Cole and his presence in the clubhouse and his ability to kind of bring guys together, which gives you more long-term value? I'm sorry, we're going to have to edit out all these yawns. I don't know what to do, but I've just been yawning. I didn't sleep very well. What you may notice is that of those first 4 items, none of them relate to pitching, and pitching has been an issue. The one thing I think that the Rangers need to address with pitching is kind of endemic to the whole team right now, but it stands out most with pitching. This has not been a good fielding team this year. It's been a poor fielding team this year, and the pitchers have been the poorest of the poor. They are last in majors in defensive runs saved from their position. Pitchers don't handle the ball that much. When they do, it's imperative that they handle it well, because those should be outs. Those should be easy outs, and in a lot of cases, they should be two outs. But they have not done a good job with it. That was why the second day on the job for Tony Beasley, to see him come out and have everybody in matching T-shirts rather than some kind of ragtag-looking group, and to have them go directly to the mound and work on PFP, which is something they will do, I expect, every homestand the rest of the way, and something that is not normally done during the season, is that attention to detail that I think comes from the front office on down. We want to try and fix these things. We're not going to say, no, it's not that big a part of the game, and we're going to focus on something else. We want to fix these things. And that is something that I think the Rangers can and need to fix. You think about it, and pitchers don't handle the baseball that much as fielders, but when they do, it should be an easy out and should be an easy way to help them get through an inning. And when they don't, it often costs you a game. So that is the other thing I think the Rangers really need to work on here in the final 5 weeks of the season, are the fundamentals. And it starts with catching the ball, particularly on the pitching mound. They could do themselves so much help simply by fielding that ball better. So that's where we are this week as we head into the final 40 games. Not a long report this week. I think that we summed up everything that the Rangers really need to attack as they prepare for the final stretch of the year. There's not a mass wave of young guys to be brought up. Whoa. But there are, but Josh Young deserves to be here, deserves to make his case that he's ready to play third base next year, and in all likelihood he is. And how that impacts the rest of the roster is something the Rangers are going to have to long-term kind of figure out. But from here, Josh Young, the continued dominance of Nate Lowe, the continued hotness of Adolis Garcia. One question about Cole Calhoun, and one project to address with the pitchers. The Rangers do all that. They're going to have made some progress, the necessary and tangible progress they need to make in the second half of the season to give Tony Beasley a legitimate shot at winning this job. So that's all I got for today. I feel like I didn't talk very long today. I guess you're the better for that. But I am here. Send me your questions on the YouTube page, comments, thoughts, recipes. Don't send me any scams, please. But I'll be here for you. Hope everybody's well. Thanks. This is good video.